What's up guys, Matt
and Blake
from the Football Boots team, and today we're going to be discussing the reasons why Nike could be cancelling their iconic Mercurial Superfly. But quickly, just before we get into that, Blakey, run us through the best boot spots of the past few days.
So the biggest one of this week has to be Sadio Mane wearing a Furon Pro. We think this is the next gen Furon 4.0 Pro. Now we know the Furon 3.0 Pro is not the greatest boot, but it was definitely an improvement from the 2 version. So he's wearing a blackout one in training. He's a big Vapor 11 wearer. He hadn't switched to Vapor 12 yet. Next one we see is Casemiro. So he was a big Vapor 12 wearer. Switched to Magista Opus. This is a much better boot for a central midfielder, someone that likes to pass the ball like Casemiro. Next one we see is City youngster Mecha. He's cut the Pure Cut lace cover on the Pure Speeds. Now you've worn the Pure Speeds before. Do you like the tight wrap of this system, or would you be prone to cutting it?
Well, me personally, I do actually like the tight wrap. I like very snug compressive boots, and the Pure Speeds definitely are that. But for me, I've got quite normal feet, but someone like Blake couldn't really wear the Pure Speeds because he has wide feet, and that might be exactly the same case with Mecha. Now, the two things you can do is either just take out the laces completely, or you can cut down this collar. For me, I wouldn't do it. I think it ruins the boot a little bit, and what I personally do is do the laces inside, but then keep them at the top section.
Next one we see, now this is the Barcelona training ground. But if we can see at Messi's boots here, this is his latest cold-blooded version of his Nemesis 17.1. You can just see that mono tongue there poking out. He hasn't laced the boots up. You can see that mono tongue. Would you prefer the mono tongue Messi version or the standard Nemesis 17.1 version?
I actually don't like the mono tongue. They call it the burrito sometimes, and for me it actually digs into the foot when you actually lace them up tightly. So for me, I'll go for the standard 17.1s, which I think is actually a pretty good pair of boots in the market. Obviously Messi prefers this one. They were on his 16.1s, and he's obviously carried on to the Nemesis.
Now a couple more boot spots we see in this photo is Jordi Alba. Now he's gone back to something which is comfortable. Tony Cruz does it with his 11 Pros. Jordi Alba has gone back to the turbocharged, such a ropey colorway, black and green for that A17.1 leathers. They don't actually make them anymore. And Suarez, he wears the X17.1 sometimes and the Pure Speed. He wore the Pure Speed on the weekend, bagging a hat-trick in La Liga, but he chops and changes between the X17.1 and the Pure Speed. Next one we see is this. So here's 2 boot spots. One we'll talk about later in this video, but we can see Alvaro Morata back in training and back in the Premier League. He has actually gone back to the X17.1. Now we think this version is probably more of a Pure Speed. Now a lot of X17.1 wearers don't actually wear that version because the upper is just so stiff. So they take the upper off the Pure Speed and they put it on the X17.1, which in my head is a very good football boot. Next one we see is again on the Chelsea training pitch. This is Andreas Christensen switching to the X17.1 as well. So a lot of players like to chop and change boots, especially in training. He's a big Predator 18.1 and Predator 18 Plus wearer, but in training he's wearing the X17.1s. Again, you can see Giroud wearing something which is a blackout. Next one we talk about, again the X17.1s, but Gabriel Jesus is back in training wearing what we think is a Pure Speed version of that X17.1. Now we're on to Twitter. Now Usain Bolt loves his football and he tweeted, "I've signed for a football team, find out which one this Tuesday at 8 AM. Who do you think he'll sign for?
Well, obviously Puma's biggest team has got to be Dortmund. That's where the headquarters are. So is he going to play for Dortmund? I'm going to say no way. He's obviously the best sprinter of all time, but is he the best footballer? I'm going to say no. Obviously another Puma team are Newcastle, my team, and I would love to see him playing on the wing. I think that's his position. Maybe on the right side. He's never going to cut in. I reckon play the ball over the top, Shelby plays it, and he just chases for 50 metres, getting in front of the fullback.
He'd have to have 99 sprint speed on FIFA, right? And he does wear the Puma Future 18.1s. Now, as you saw earlier in the video, we showed you blackout boots. Now, Fabregas and Olivier Giroud, both at Chelsea training ground, have been wearing blackout Puma football boots. Now, Maddie, what do you think these are?
Well, to me, just by having a little first glance, they look so much like the Puma 1 18.1s. But the thing is, can they really be the next generation 19.1 when the 18.1s have literally just come out? They do look very similar. I think Puma do need something else new. Right now, I think the Futures are actually a great pair of football boots. Maybe, in my opinion, their best pair of boots since their very first Puma Evo Power 1. The upper's great. I like the little lace technology. It's a little bit different. So if they can complement this boot with something else, maybe for the World Cup, I'd love to see that. But as mentioned in the introduction to this video, are Nike going to be cancelling the Mercurial Superfly? And if so, why are they going to do this?
So why is our thumbnail Nike cancelling the Superfly? A lot of players have actually switched to the Vapor from the Superfly and from other Nike silos. Now Leroy Sané was a big Superfly 5 wearer, but he's switched to the Vapor 12. Lukaku, obviously we featured him in last week's video, he switched to the Vapor 12. Ever Banega, a big Magista player. You love Banega, I know you do. He switched to the Vapor 12. Central midfielder, long ball specialist. I don't know why he switched to the Vapor 12. Also, Ross Barkley in Chelsea training ground. He switched to the Vapor 12s from the Hiram lows. Now our question is, should Nike be cancelling the Superfly? As you can see there, Hazard and Sanchez, but one wears the Superfly and one wears the Vapor 12. Now the Superfly 6 at the moment is called the Superfly 360, but should it be called the Vapor 12 DF? What do you think?
Well, for me, the naming system, I've both called them the Superflies this time, so I would actually get rid of the Vapor. But obviously Nike would never ever do that because the Vapor is one of their longest serving boots of all time. Yep. Now for me, it's almost impossible to say which boot is actually better, the Superfly 6 or the Vapor 12, because I haven't worn the Vapor 12. Yep. But what I can say is that the Superfly 6 is by far my favourite Superfly I've ever worn. Yep. Much prefer it to the Superfly 5. The Superfly 4, better than the Superfly 5, but in my opinion, the 6 still beats the 4.
So that has to change to the Superfly. So the question is, we should really be asking, should the Vapor be cancelled? When the Hiram Phantom 3 came out, it was the Hiram Phantom 3 DF. And the Finish 2 was not named the Finish 2, it was called the Hiram Phantom 3 Low.
But of course, it's not just about the Elite Superfly and the Elite Vapor. Nike have now released their scaled down versions, and you guys may have not even seen this yet, but Blakey, let's have a look at the lower tier Mercurials.
So this is the Superfly Pro, probably going to come in at around £130, previously known as the Veloz. So you had this as the Veloz DF. And we also had the low version. We've got a low version, which is the Vapor Pro, also known as the Veloz Low. But just looking at the boot, I was very curious as to see how they would duplicate the split toe design. And the way they did this on the Pro version is that you can actually see there are two separate plates on the system there, but the internal system is pretty much a standard Pro sole plate. So the sole plate has pretty much not changed from that Veloz from the previous generation. Now we get onto the Academy, which was previously known as the Victory. So this is the Academy Superfly. Do you think that collar is any good or not?
I think it's one of those collars, just on the Hyven and also Magista, those scaled down boots. It's a collar because the kids want a collar. It's not going to do anything in terms of performance or comfort, making it more seamless or more sock-like. It's there just to have it all about style.
Now the next one we'll go to is the Academy Low. So pretty much the exact same boot without that sort of soft collar. But the sole plate is pretty much the same. The whole tech specs is pretty much the same as the Victory 5 of the previous generation. And the last one, the entry level one for kids, is a bit of a joke of a football boot. The sole plate is just a standard sole plate. They haven't even tried to sort of mimic that design at all. But the upper is very, very basic. That sock, that dynamic fit version. There is a Superfly Club for the first time. It has a DF version. And we go to the Vapor Club, which is the Vortex. So this is a very, very cheap silo, coming in at £50. But I'm going to ask you this. Which Mercurial range of the current generation is the best value for money? So the Club version, around £50. The Academy version, around £80. And the Pro version, around £130 to £110. Vote in the poll card now.
So guys, there it is for today. And my question to you is, and the question that a lot of people are actually asking online, is which Mercurial is actually the better boot for 2018? Is it the Superfly 6 Elite with the heightened collar? Or is it a Vapor 12 almost identical to the Superfly 6, but this time it's low cut? So vote in the poll card now, but guys, as I said, that's a wrap for the day. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always,
we'll see you next time.